All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to It's All Geek to Me with your host, Alan V. A little bit of a snag there. We moved some stuff around in the office here, and where I usually pull my opening, which is, I don't think I've ever said it, is called I'm Awesome by Spose. Usually I get it off of YouTube, which I have a few clips here, and apparently that's not working, so I'm going to have to improvise here today. But again, it's 4 o'clock here on a Thursday, February 15th, 2018. Yeesh. I'm your lovely host, Alan V, and again, you're tuned into It's an All Geek to Me on WSIN Radio 1590 and WSINradio.org. Or you can catch us through the TuneIn app. If you download the app and just type in WSIN, we do come up as a search result. So you don't have an excuse not to catch the show. But yeah, last week here we talked about sports. Specifically the Super Bowl. And the Olympics and going into spring training and all that fun stuff. One thing I did forget to mention on last week's show was that we are officially into WrestleMania season. So those of you that caught us last semester here when I had our music director, Gerald, on, who's an avid wrestling fan like myself, as we get closer to WrestleMania, which if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's essentially the Super Bowl of wrestling in America. It's the WWE's big show. They do usually the end of March, beginning of April every year. This year it will be in April. It's their big hurrah. It's, to me, a little too much, because if you're trying to watch the pay-per-view, it's like a 6-hour show with the pre-show and the show itself, but it's usually a ton of fun. So I'm going to have him on again, if he's willing, and so far he is. And we're going to probably do one before WrestleMania, just to kind of give our predictions and what our expectations and hopes are going into it. And then possibly maybe one a couple of weeks after, because if you guys really want to catch wrestling stuff, go on YouTube and type in Chocobo Chokeslam. Chocobo is Chocobo, if you're a gamer or a nerd or a geek, fitting with the show. It's the big yellow bird thing you can ride in the Final Fantasy series. It's a chicken, basically, that's big. And Chokeslam's all one word, because I had to make it easy to do. But you can catch my wrestling stuff on there. I'd be more than happy if you were inclined to check it out. It's very much a similar format. It's just me sitting around talking. The only difference is you get to see my ugly mug on camera. Thankfully, on the radio, you're not subject to that. But happy day after Valentine's Day to everybody. I did say last week, our first 3 topics are going to be sports, which we covered last week. Next week, I'm going to talk about video game addiction and why I think it's kind of a load of crap. I.e., I'm a gamer and I play World of Warcraft, or as they call it, World of Warcraft. And I'm going to talk about why you're kind of on there for 6-hour sessions, and it's not an addiction. It honestly just takes that long sometimes to get things organized or done. It's a process game. All MMOs are. So I'm going to talk a little bit why I got to do a little research, so I'll have more on that next week when it's the right topic. I'm going to talk about why some of this is more of a bias against gaming, which has been around since gaming became a thing, and not as much about actual addiction. And there are some cool addiction things. There's a whole thing on loot crates, which I might bring up either next week or on another show. They're still doing studies to determine if that's actually gambling or caters to gambling addiction. So it's honestly, even if you're not into gaming stuff, it's cool from a conceptual standpoint because it's just a lot of psychology involved. But, of course, this show we're going to be talking about memes. But before we get into that here, I had a wonderful opportunity as soon as the semester ended, which is why, I ended earlier. I was actually going to do a show up until Christmas and do a official holiday send-off. Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate, I'm inclusive. I celebrate Christmas, so obviously I'm going to be a little slanted towards saying Merry Christmas, but Happy Hanukkah and so on. You do you. But I had the opportunity to go to the Netherlands. You heard me give the shout-out last week to Erica and Fareed. So if you're listening again, hey, what's up? Erica is my sister. Fareed is my now brother-in-law. I had the opportunity to go over there to be part of the wedding and meet the family and all that fun stuff. So my whole thought process was, I got to relax that in the year, enjoy myself, hang out with family, go travel throughout the Netherlands, go drive 2.5 hours to Dusseldorf in Germany to go to a Christmas market, and then realize I'm a guy, there's nothing here at the Christmas market other than food. But thankfully I had my brother-in-law, my dad, my uncle, and my 2 cousins, so we all got to do stuff, so it was a lot of fun. And we got to laugh like morons because the word for exit in German is Ausfahrt. So you get a car full of guys ranging from 60-something to... I think I had the boys at me, so 60-something to like 21, laughing at the word Ausfahrt, because maturity. But I had a wonderful time over there. And I just thought to me 2017 was insane. Just the far left and the far right were busy trying to make idiots out of themselves and at each other. We had the issue in Charlottesville. Las Vegas happened, Harvey Weinstein, and that whole thing just blew up and happened in 2017. The Ariana Grande concert bombing happened. We had Hurricane Irma. We had all the police shooting stuff going on. We had the unfortunate mosque attack in Egypt that happened in 2017. So 2017, if we really want to step back and look at it and what happened around the world and in our own country, sucked. There was a lot of cool in 2017, but just from, like, if it can go wrong, it will standpoint, we had a lot of that in 2017. So my thought during the holidays was, man, 2018 has got to be better. Like, it can't be as bad as 2017. And then 2018 busts out of the scene and said, hold my bear. So where do we start with 2018? Well, the big one, the leading advocate of the Me Too movement, which, if there's nothing wrong with that movement, I know there's a lot of... Okay, let me see if I can word this right. Understandably, because of the way it's being covered, and if you don't know that it's hashtag #MeToo, it is women that was set up as for women that were sexually harassed or assaulted to kind of speak out, which is awesome. If you've been a victim of that, you should have a place where you can comfortably speak out and have your voice heard. And understandably, a lot of guys, and you never know, and I think what happened here is you never know who's lying, who's not lying, who's blackballing somebody or blackmailing somebody, and so on. You can't get caught up in that, and we are, as a society, innocent until proven guilty, and we forget that a lot. So, understandably, Me Too is a little controversial because there's a lot of just guys in general that are like, hey, and my thought is, no means no. If you understand that and live by that, you don't have a problem. But why I brought this up, and I forget her name, the lead advocate, whatever you want to call her, of the movement, was accused recently of sexually harassing or assaulting 2 male employees. So 2018, we already have like, oh, hey, this is a giant mess. I mean, I already covered the hypocrisy of Hollywood a few weeks ago, so I'm not going to talk about that specifically. We had, yesterday, I'm not going to get political. I am not going to give a huge tirade on what happened yesterday. I'm just going to say this, and this is what everybody should be saying right now. I offer my condolences to the victims and the victims' families and friends for what happened. That should never happen. There's a lot of... Facebook is a mess right now. So, hey, join me if we can get away from Facebook. I'm not going to give my opinion on it because I don't feel it's appropriate to exploit or be a parasite and latch on to a issue like this, because I could certainly spend the entire show talking about gun rights, gun control, mental health reform, and all that stuff that's just blowing up on Facebook. Everybody has their opinion. Everybody is upset, and understandably so. There was a lot that happened in this situation that should have been red flags, that should have prevented this from happening. So that's my 2 cents on it. Maybe if I want to delve into that political realm, I can have a show where I talk about some of this kind of stuff. Because I think the biggest issue in America is we are very hung up on this dichotomous thinking or groupthink, whatever word you want to use for it. And dichotomous thinking, thank you, Dr. Sargent, my Comp 210 professor. I'm actually using stuff you're teaching in my day-to-day conversation. Dichotomous thinking is the philosophy of either or. Either this has to happen or this has to happen. And it's flawed thinking because we're only looking at two perspectives, essentially tunnel vision. Whatever your ideology is, that's the only answer. When reality is that there's, especially within a group, we can come up with 1,000,001 different ways to address these issues. But America is America. We swing on this pendulum of far extremes constantly, and it's frustrating. And what gets lost in the middle of all this are unhinged people who need help, who latch on to ideologies, whether it's a far right or alt-right or a far left. In the case of what happened yesterday, this kid, again, this is stuff's turning up on social media, so we need to wait for actual reports and the truth to come out and all the hype to settle, for lack of a better word. This person, in his social media stuff is at least from a pro-communism Antifa standpoint, he's, if not a member, a openly advertised supporter. So we're seeing somebody who was unhinged that latched onto an ideological extreme, and we had what we had yesterday. And again, of course, everybody's going to say, well, it's not guns, and now's not the time. We don't need, every time something happens, we need to take a minute, take in what happened, say what you got to say, get your feelings out, emote, and then we need to step back and come together and find some logical ways to approach things. But we don't do that because it's either my way or the highway, which is America's anthem. So I'm not giving political stuff. I'm not giving my opinion on how to fix, prevent this. I want to let people grieve. It's okay to be heartbroken. It's okay to be upset. And just so if nobody accuses me of being detached from that particular issue, a couple years ago, and it was actually the day after Sandy Hook, I had the misfortune of being robbed at gunpoint at the job I had. So I understand thankfully nothing happened. You want the $80 in my drawer, you're robbing me at 8 o'clock in the morning, you're obviously not the smartest criminal in the world. Take it, get out of my store. But I was not a pleasant experience. So I understand that people that are afraid, concerned, I understand both sides of the argument. I have my own thoughts, but again, 2018 is off to a great start, but what we're going to focus on here today, something a little more lighthearted and at least we can laugh at, because I think we all need a moment to disconnect from the politicizing and screaming and psychoticness of what's going on right now. 2018 started with the Battle of the Memes, or Attack of the Memes. Specifically, we're going to talk about today two that refuse to die. It's the Tide Pod Challenge, and the other one is Ugandan Knuckles. And before I get into that, though, I figured we'll take our first obligatory music break. Again, you're listening to It's All Geek to Me with Alan V on WSIN Radio 1590 AM. The artist we're going to go ahead and feature today is Black River Review, and I'm going to do off their title song here. It's called Just Can't Win.
Go your way.
right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to It's All Geek to Me. I'm your host, Alan V, and today we're now officially talking about memes. Well, first and foremost, you're probably going, if you're not, a millennial or whatever we call the current generation, because millennials are technically 82 to 2000, and technically these labels are all meaningless because they're all basically marketing jargon on how to target certain demographics and all that stuff, but that's a discussion for another day. But if you're not of the internet culture, or really the internet age, I'm kind of on the outside of it. I have younger friends that kind of bring me into this stuff, and then I crack up because I still find it funny. But a meme defined is a virally transmitted cultural symbol or idea. Basically something that's transmitted through the internet that in becoming viral means it becomes quickly popular for just because people push it. There's no, if it's a, corporation promoting a product or a show, that's not being viral because it has marketing and stuff behind it to promote it. Viral is just this thing by self-promotion becomes popular. But the majority of modern memes are caption photos that are intended to be funny or, publicly ridicule a human behavior. Other memes can be videos or GIFs, which are kind of animated photos. So that's basically what a meme is. Now, memes they aren't new. So I know, you've probably seen it on the news, and we'll get to it because that's our topic here, the Tide Pod Challenge stuff. It's been kind of crazy and all over the place. And part of that is because of the way the news has covered it, and we'll get to that. But memes have been around forever. Probably some of the earliest ones I recall is there was a video someone put together of a old Sega Genesis game that was translated and voice acted or digitized voice from back then. They didn't really have the technology to record crisp human audio with the size space on the cartridges. But it was digitized audio translated from Japanese to English without understanding how that stuff doesn't necessarily translate smoothly. And, of course, I'm talking about one of the most famous ones, which is All Your Base Are Belong to Us. And literally it's a song somebody made to a scene in the game where it's, the villain of the game basically says, surrender, all your base are now belong to us. You have no chance, make your time. It's really broken English. It was hilarious. So that was one of the early viral memes that caught on. It was shared everywhere honestly in the 90s on the early internet. Yeah, for some of you young ones, the internet did exist in the 1990s, but not remotely in the way that you know it now. We used to have to sit there and wait an hour for a picture to load. It was awful, but it was what it was. But most of your memes, honestly, are just photos. If you've seen probably Futurama is notorious for having probably the most out of one show. Two of the most popular ones there are the picture of Fry, and it's from the episode where they do the spoof of the iPhone. And literally in the show, they drill a phone into your eyeball. And then they do a great job parodying everything about Apple at the time. So, Apple's changed their marketing since then, so the episode's a little dated, but for its time was hilarious. But it's basically Fry in the episode just says, shut up and take my money. And so people have taken the picture, and X product is out, and then the caption will be, shut up and take my money. So the Nintendo Switch came out, and you have the photo, Nintendo Switch is out, shut up and take my money. Probably my favorite of the Futurama ones is X is bad, so you should feel bad, and it's from one of the original run episodes of Futurama with Zoidberg when Fry trades hands with the robot devil. Yeah, I know, describing this just sounds insane, but Futurama was awesome. Fry trades with the robot devil, and he gets his hands, because Fry wanted to play an instrument to impress his female captain, Leela, who he had a crush on. And towards the end, he trades the hands back to, it's one of those, remember the old book, Gift of the Magi, where the couple, they basically each cuts their hair to sell it and get an expensive comb to give the other for Christmas or whatever holiday. And it turns out they both, neither has hair, so the combs are useless, but they did the sacrifice for each other. And it's a similar concept where everybody's swapping different body parts and different things and Leela ends up deaf, so he ends up swapping the hands back to give her hearing, but in return, he can't play because he's got fat little stubby fingers and can't play an instrument. And this sounds horrible, and then to get to the point, Zoidberg proceeds to shout, "Your opera is bad, and you should feel bad." And that meme became instant. There's a ton of SpongeBob memes. Everything has a meme. But it's become synonymous with internet culture. It's how to make a snarky, smart remark. If you're on a Facebook conversation, or like today, probably having an argument, and you'll see a common one. It's an old picture of Michael Jackson in a theater eating popcorn. That's also a meme because it's more or less just saying you're there to watch the comments and watch chaos ensue. Admittedly, I like to stir the pot because of my leanings, so I tend to use that one a lot myself. But let's circle back to what's the Tide Pod Challenge? This one's weird. There's two originations for this one. This one's old, too. Like, the whole eating Tide Pods is newer. But back in, 2012, on a website called Straight Dope, there was a forum, and a forum user created a thread accusing that are people eating Tide Pods because they honestly do look like candy. I can understand that. So that's where it started. But where this evolved as a joke on Twitter because a user was trying to jokingly market Tide Pod colored or flavored fruit snacks to Gushers. Gushers are those fruit snacks. I remember asking for them all the time as a kid. Can't eat them as adults because they're nasty. But they're the fruit snacks that have the little liquid in the middle, thus Gushers. So their joke was, hey, I need to message you, and they've shown the screenshots of them trying to get the Gushers who make Tide Pod designed Gushers. And of course they're like, no, that's stupid, and not realizing it was a joke. And so that's where that started. And essentially, images over the next couple of years circulate where they're referring to Tide Pods as the forbidden fruit. Now, late in 2017, social media starts becoming inundated with images of everyday items being turned into Tide Pod flavored. My personal favorite are the Tide Pod flavored Hot Pockets. I would assume those would probably give you less diarrhea. And these were honestly funny to me because I'm like, there's nobody that stupid. Like, no one's going to eat Tide Pods. But as we headed into 2018, the meme evolved from just images of Tide Pod flavored items. And again, this one isn't original either because this stems off of another meme with pumpkin spice flavored, everything. And you would have pumpkin spice flavored Clorox bleach and different cleaners and things you're not supposed to eat as a joke. So this is kind of spun off of that. But as we went into 2018, the meme evolved just from the images of Tide Pod flavored food to people taking a titular pod or Tide Pod challenge. This, of course, was meant as a joke originally. And then, unfortunately, a couple young people did do Tide Pods. And that got media coverage, and because the way our journalism works with over-sensationalizing and just, what's the phrase when I took my journalism class? I know there's sex sells, but fair sells. Fair brings in viewers. That's why when you have a news broadcast, what in your house that you don't use every day can be a silent killer. Tune in at 11. They're nonsense that's drawn to capture you and keep you watching. It's not really ethical, but it's how journalism and news works in our part of the world, and a lot of that is due to the 24-hour news cycle and, the advent of 24-hour news networks. There's really isn't 24-hour worth of news every day, so we got to jump on things and make things out worse than they really are, and so we have stuff like that. But what ended up happening here is, in return, we had the news cover, that there's an epidemic when it was really a couple people eating Tide Pods. And you have what's called the copycat effect. And because a couple people got attention for eating Tide Pods in the news, thousands of others started doing it and making YouTube videos and all that other fun, nonsensical stuff that it turned into. And this got, honestly, and I have a treat for you guys, so we're going to get to that in a few minutes. But this is a situation where the news took something small, but because I mean, people are calling poison control every day for eating the wrong medication or drinking something they're not supposed to. Typically, children it's common for them to grab Windex and think it's Kool-Aid and drink it. But that doesn't make headlines. That doesn't grab attention because it's common. So when you start seeing reports and publish it, because they have to report their statistics. So when poison control publishes that there's people eating the pods, that's a bigger deal. So we sensationalize it, and a lot of the copycat stuff happened. But Tide responded with what I thought was hilarious, which was they had Rob Gronkowski, the man, the New England Patriots tight end. If I can get this to work, I hope it does, because I have another thing that I did that we're going to do. I made my own PSA, too, which we'll play in a moment. I just thought I'd do my part to deter. And again, I'm jokingly saying kids. These are teenagers and young adults eating laundry detergent, so to me it's the most mind-blowingly stupid thing possible. But Tide did this really dumb commercial. I'm going to play the audio for it, but it's literally Tide with a screen saying, is it okay to eat Tide Pods? And Rob Gronkowski waving his finger saying, no, 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 no. It's really doesn't drive the point home. Like, maybe you should, show what happens to the person when they eat it. Like, you're going to die? That kind of thing. Not, hey, I'm famous, and I wave my finger. Don't do this, because when does that work? Well, let's see if I can get this to play here for you.
No, 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 no. No, no, no. No. What the heck is going on, people? Use Tide Pods for washing, not eating.
Thank you, Captain Obvious. So yeah, that was the Rob Gronkowski one, and literally each scene is, hey Rob, is it okay to eat Tide Pods? No, 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 no. When is it okay to eat Tide Pods? No, 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 which makes no sense. The word should be never. Don't be dumb. But I thought I would do my part to better the youth of America and vent some of my own frustrations with the stupidity involved in our own society. And I made my own Tide Pod PSA. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to play for you my own, again, this PSA is not done on behalf of WSIN Radio, so this is mine. And the opinions in this PSA are only representative of mine, but, and again, this is all for humor, so don't get your bean about it. But here you go. Enjoy a Tide Pod PSA done in a way that should be done for the demographic that's dumb enough to do this. I'm here to talk to you today on why you should always ask an adult before eating items you find around your house. Wait, why are you handing me these papers? We're in the middle of recording. What do you mean we're recording this for teenagers? Ugh. Hello, morons. So I hear you like eating Tide Pods. Yeah, I get it. They look like candy. Ha ha. But your Uncle Alan here is to do you one better. Why stick to just plain old Tide Pods when you can eat some f***ing Downy Dipping Dots? It's like Tide Pods, but you can sprinkle it on your food. Better yet, for all you edgelords out there, why don't you snort a few lines of Ajax, because you're a bunch of f***ing morons. What do you mean that's too harsh? What do you mean I can't say that? I'm supposed to be recording a PSA for small children and toddlers, not high schoolers. I should be talking to 5-year-olds, not 15-year-olds. I mean, don't look at me like that. It's not like adults are this stupid. It's not like adults are dumb enough to try to, I don't know, say, vape a Tide Pod. You gotta be kidding me. An adult actually tried to vape a Tide Pod. Like, seriously, you tried to vape a Tide Pod. You know what? That's it. I'm done. Good night. All right. Okay. Just disclaimer: there were no swears. I basically just added a beep and ing at the end because that was easier than trying to actually censor. But yeah. And I'm not kidding. An adult, a 21-year-old, I believe. So an adult, should be old enough to not be that stupid. I understand peer pressure, and peer pressure makes people do dumb things. I was a teenager once. The stories I could tell you, because thankfully I was a teenager before things like social media were around, because, oh boy. But, you're in your 20s, and you're trying to vape laundry detergent. You're an idiot. Like, I have no sympathy for you. You deserve whatever's happening to your body. And even worse, somebody tried to dab Tide Pod. So, it's stupid as stupid. So, yeah, I don't really have any sympathy for these kids. You want to get attention, go do something constructive. Go get on the news because you started up a charity, or you're volunteering somewhere, or playing sports, or doing any million other things than eating laundry detergent. I can't. I don't understand what's wrong with everybody. I know what we should. Oh, and this gets worse. This just honestly blows my mind. Like, oh my goodness. The state of New York decided they needed to legislate Tide Pods. A bunch of them, because, I mean, New York's already known as a nanny state, where they want to micromanage every aspect of your life, which is just terrifying to me. But they decided that we need to do something to make Tide Pods less appetizing. How did those words come out of your mouth and your brain not go, hey, this sounds stupid? They're laundry detergent pods. They are concentrated laundry detergent pods, which means it's going to taste even more chemically than if you just drank laundry detergent. How do you make them less appealing? It's like trying to make poop less appealing to a dog. Or even better yet, because I got two of them at home, making poop less appealing to a guinea pig. That's all they do. We don't need legislation like that. We need less stupid people. I mean, what are we going to do next? Look, I know, let's make urinal cakes less appetizing. Hey, kids, do the urinal cake challenge. Grab a urinal cake out of any toilet you see and chow down. No, side note, seriously, don't do that. But I can't. I'm, like, mind blown with how unbelievably stupid this is. You know, in fact, since we're going to legislate Tide Pods that they're not food, why don't we, like, I don't know, do this thing where we put labels on products that just say, hey, this is not food, it's harmful, don't eat it. Oh, wait, we already do. Tide Pods are already labeled as poison. But people still eat them. And again, it's honestly not as big of a deal as it's been made out to be, because the media took hold of it, and attention is attention. So it got blown way out of proportion, as most memes do. If I have time here, which I probably won't because I'm already at past 4:30, I would love to talk about other memes that kind of caught attention that I thought were hilarious. 4chan is notorious. They're a website and forum type of thing, and it's not exactly the most upscale or reputable or judicious place. It's not bad necessarily. It's just very degenerate-oriented. So they tend to do pranks and things, and there's a bunch of memes and things they've created over the years that got into the media, that got taken the completely wrong direction or way out of context, and a lot of times they've done it intentionally to troll political and social groups. So for that, I think it's hilarious, but I probably don't have enough time because, you know, I got one more meme to talk about, and this one's a little goofy, but this one has a cool background to it that I absolutely love just because it's getting attention from somewhere in the world that otherwise would only be getting negative attention or no attention. But, so we got Tide Pods out of the way, and we're going to take our next obligatory music break. But before we go to the music break, I have to ask you a question. Brothers, do you know the way? And again, that'll make sense in a moment. You're listening to It's All Geek to Me with Alan V on 1590 AM or online at WSINradio.org. Now I'm going to go ahead and play you another track here by the Black River Review. And this one will be track, it's called 900 Miles. So again, I'll be back here in a minute. Enjoy the song. And again, It's All Geek to Me on WSIN Radio.
Come on.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to It's All Geek to Me. I'm your host, Alan V, and this is WSIN Radio, 1590 AM, or you can catch me online at WSINradio.org. And we are talking about memes today. Now that I went through the one where everybody's just a complete idiot, I got one that's both weird and hilarious at the same time and has a cool background. Again, before I went into the break, I asked you, do you know the way? That comes from a meme that has been dubbed Ugandan Knuckles. And again, you're like, wait, what do the two have to do with each other? I'm going to explain. This meme was created in part by a artist on DeviantArt. Okay, I have no beef with furries. I actually know a few, casually. One of them actually was on PLR doing an interview one day, so Ari, kudos for how you did on that. That took a lot of guts. The only reason I'm saying furry and not just artist is because if you're familiar with DeviantArt and the Sonic the Hedgehog fan community, it's pretty much synonymous with the fur community. So I'm just calling it like it is. So a user on DeviantArt is also involved in a game, and I use that term in quotations because it's not a game, called VR Chat, and I'll explain that in a second. But he essentially he took a 3D rendering, a very just goofy-looking one, which, you know what, I can't draw. I can't even draw a stick figure without it looking crooked, so I'm the last person on the world to critique someone's artistic ability. So, within their skill set, they made a 3D rendering of the character Knuckles the Echidna. If you're vaguely familiar with the Sonic the Hedgehog video games, you had the blue-looking hedgehog, you had the tail with two foxes, and you had the red guy with the little spines coming off and the fat fist with the little spikes. That's Knuckles. He's an echidna. Doesn't look like an echidna, but the Sonic the Hedgehog doesn't look like a hedgehog, so it doesn't matter. They made a 3D model for this game, VR Chat. So that's where the first part of this started. Now, what the heck is VR Chat, you're asking, I hope? It's not a game. A game means there's gameplay, which is why it's called a game. There's things to do. VR Chat is essentially a virtual chat room. So think of like the old AOL Instant Messenger, but instead of typing to people in a room, you are in a virtual space with a avatar or a representation of yourself, or however you want to present yourself, and you talk with other people. So basically what he did is he made, he's part of the team that developed this, or I don't know if he did it himself or with a team, but they developed this VR chat room type of thing. And he made this avatar to import into the game. VR Chat is very similar to another game, which is called Second Life. And Second Life is pretty much The Sims, but you can explore every fetish under the sun. And I'm not joking. I've tried playing Second Life. The starting zone, the very first play, because Second Life, you have an avatar, you can make an avatar, it's a human, whatever model, you can buy with real-world money or the in-game currency, additional clothing and parts to make a home. It's essentially like a virtual city. So you have a starting point. The place I just picked at random to start at, as soon as your character kind of falls in and lands, there was a virtual BDSM club in front of me. So I'm not joking, and again, not judging, you do you, that this Second Life is basically The Sims for the kinky or the horny. And there's other things to do. You can role play and do other things like that. And I don't mean that kind of role play. I'm talking about like if you want to have adventures. And I had a friend who was part of a role play group that did. Her character was a android cyborg, or whatever you want to call it, and they're all on a spaceship. So they use assets in the game to create this environment. And to me, it's stupid, but you do you. But again, I'm not judging or condemning whatever anybody's into, but if the ankle cuff fits, wear it. That type of thing. So VR Chat is like Second Life in the fact that it's a virtual playground where you can interact with people. But where does the Ugandan part come in? What I'm going to go ahead and do here, if it'll work, I'm going to try playing some clips of the dialogue, because the Ugandan part comes from the dialogue, which created a whole people screaming racism without knowing what was going on, so just being stupid and reactionary to things. But let me see if I can get this to work here for you, because I can't do the voice, but just to be blunt, it's from a Ugandan film, which I'm going to talk about in a moment because I absolutely love this thing. I just think it's awesome. So what we're going to do is let's go ahead and play the clip.
Do you know the way?
There you go. That's why I said, do you know the way? Now, imagine being in a virtual chat room with a bunch of people all having this bloated red character, all running around playing that clip over and over. Sounds infuriating, doesn't it? But it's also hilarious because this meme, this character, has spun out of control and has been made a part of everything. Now, do you know the way isn't the only line. It's probably the most famous one, but there's all sorts of lines of dialogue, and they all come from a Ugandan-based movie called Who Shot Captain Alex? Now, yes, you heard that right. Ugandan-made film. This is why, as much as people misinterpreted this meme and thought it was a bad thing, it's not. I love the fact that somebody got hold of this film and turned it into clips from it into this meme because it draws attention to a film industry in a part of the world no one even knew existed. Now, the name of the movie from Uganda, and again, it's one of these so bad that it's great to the point where this movie has a high rating on IMDb, which if you don't know is like the International Movie Database, where you can review and post movies to be reviewed and scored. So on IMDb, Who Shot Captain Alex got an 8.1. Now, why do I think this is cool? Who Shot Captain Alex was made by a director. Let's see if I have the name here. Actually, the studio is, I apologize if I pronounce this wrong, Navawana ICG, and what they call Wakalia Wood, an ultra-low budget studio in Kampala, Uganda. And Wakalia Wood comes from the neighborhood, or as I found it online, the slum, I don't like that word, but Wakaliga, which is essentially the poorest part of Uganda's capital, which is Kampala. I do have the name. So, the director is named Nabalana Isaac Godfrey Jeffrey. I don't know why he has 4 names. They've dubbed him Uganda's Tarantino after his gratuitous violence in his films. And again, they're best known for having low budget, as in about a $200 US dollar budget. And Who Shot Captain Alex is probably their biggest, most well-known film. And they have another one called Tabata Usala. I can't pronounce that. And then there's a second one, Tabata Usala Ebola. So of these 2 movies here, Who Shot Captain Alex, which is what most of the dialogue for the Ugandan Knuckles meme comes from. There's also a bunch of dialogue about the princess and Ebola that people use for this avatar. So I think that comes from that Tabata Usala. I'm butchering the pronunciation, but you look at this word and tell me how to pronounce it. So, what you had here, and I'm going to go into why I think the Who Shot Captain Alex stuff is awesome, because I remember coming across this film a couple years ago, and it just dropped off my radar. You had this DeviantArt user with this game they were working on, creating this custom avatar that everybody's using, because you just find the file. Essentially, you make an image or like a character, and you bring it into the game. And people started pairing do you know the way, and and there's a scene where they make a bunch of clicking noises, and I don't mean like it's language, it's just the characters being crazy and they're the whole time, and it's not like there is a language over in Africa, I believe, at least according to Family Guy. So if I'm wrong, I'm basing this on an episode of Family Guy where it's clicking noises, but that's not what they're doing. At least from what bits and clips I've seen, it's just supposed to be them doing like a rally cry. But part of the dialogue and the way the meme works is if you don't answer if you know the way, they threaten you with Ebola and then chase you. So you have basically people trying to have normal conversations in this VR chat, and then they show up anywhere from 5 to 500. There's tons of videos on YouTube. Go on YouTube and type in Ugandan Knuckles. It's hilarious, but it would also drive me nuts if I actually was in the VR chat. But you have like 500 of them running around going, do you know the way? I know the way, brothers, and the way of destruction, and all these other lines of dialogue. But the awesome part in all this is it brought attention to this small studio in the poorest part of Uganda. And Uganda, unfortunately, is not one of the more financially prosperous nations in Africa. So the fact that this studio, which would otherwise get no international attention, has gotten international attention. It got international attention from Who Shot Captain Alex, or Who Killed Captain Alex, rather, is the official title. Because there was a file floating around on the internet, and I'm going to talk about that in a second, but it's also getting more attention now because of just a stupid meme. So memes aren't always evil. So you have people that do memes to mess with people. You have, like, the Tide Pod Challenge, and then you have memes that draw attention to things. And the fact that this meme is derived out of this film, I think is fantastic. And I'm a film and television digital production major here at the university. I've taken film classes and all that kind of stuff. So I typically watch movies to enjoy them, but like I had to watch Ararat, so sidetrack for a minute and we'll get back to topic. I had to watch it for a class I'm taking here at the university on it's basically a Holocaust and genocide studies. And there are a few movies where the symbolism is just so like there that I pulled apart. There's so much of that in Ararat that I can watch movies as just a movie fan and as, I don't want to say a critic, but as somebody who can, at times pick apart the art and the stuff behind it. And I like to make fun of the stuff I'm watching, so I'm not always the easiest person to watch movies with, but I'm probably the most fun person to watch movies with. But, so let's go into this Who Shot Captain Alex. It's a 2010 Ugandan action comedy film. Now, the director here, there's one version floating around on the internet, and it's hard to, they speak English, but there's obviously every culture has an accent. I know we don't think we have one here in Connecticut or here in the Northeast, but if you go down south or the Midwest, we have an accent. Heck, I mean, if you go to like New Hampshire, Vermont, or Maine, they have this Bostonian accent where the letter R doesn't exist. So we all have an accent. So this isn't knocking an accent. It's just what they did with this movie, and what I guess is common coming out of that part of the world, is they have what's called a video joker. If you are familiar with Mystery Science Theater 3000 or Riff Tracks or Cinematic Titanic, any of those series where they take a movie and they riff it, make fun of it, it's similar to that, but it's really just a dude on crack, speed, or PCP, whatever the dude's on, because the dude also is what makes this movie hilarious. It's somebody with super high energy giving commentary and interpreting the scenes of dialogue. And I don't know why he's on here, because honestly, the bit I've watched, I can, other than the sound quality's poor, I can understand the actors, because they do speak English. It's just a very heavily accented English. But there's only this version floating around on the internet, because it's where it is. The director had to delete the movie to film his second movie. So, and what they do there is they take parts of old computers, because what we do here, which I think we probably shouldn't do, but if it's benefiting the other parts of the world, oh, fine, because they do this in a couple different African nations. We send all our old computer parts and technological, I guess, garbage, for lack of a better word, overseas, because, and I guess they go through it and grab old computer parts and they build computers. So he took old computer parts and put together a computer to edit these movies on, which is also awesome. But let's go in a little bit on the plot here, because this movie's insane. Captain Alex was the local military's top soldier. He set out to destroy the evil Tiger Mafia, a group that controls the city of Kampala from the shadows. The Tiger Mafia is led by a man named Richard. After Richard's brother is captured by Captain Alex, Richard sets out for revenge. Later, Captain Alex turns up dead, but nobody is sure who killed him. Captain Alex's brother, a Ugandan Shaolin monk, arrives in Kampala to try to discover who the murderer is. He develops a friendship with one of Richard's wives, who has lost her memory due to being shot by Richard. And then in parentheses, Richard has so many wives that they are expendable. Okay. So yeah, that's kind of your basic synopsis. That's awesome. And if we take a look here, this film was produced on an estimated, I said this before, $200 budget, began in late 2009 in the ghettos of Natiti. Filmmaker Isaac Nabanwa was inspired by his love of Hollywood action movies and martial arts films from his childhood. The helicopter scenes in the film were based on his experiences during the Uganda Bush War, where he and his brother were chased by a helicopter. And there's even a panpipe rendition of Kiss from a Rose by Seal throughout the movie. This movie's crazy. And then the helicopter scenes are hilariously bad because it's like almost, it's not CG as much as it looks like they took a helicopter from another movie, cut the, like bad Photoshop basically. But it's a Ugandan Shaolin monk, the Tiger Mafia. I honestly encourage you to look this movie up and give it a watch. It is hilarious. And if this helps their industry grow, even better. I wish they still had copies of this, because it would be awesome if you can buy them online just to help, fund. The new movie he's trying to work on, the one I can't pronounce, he's doing a sequel. It's that name, Ebola. They are actually, I believe, on Kickstarter. If you feel so inclined to help a booming international movie industry, by all means give. I'm not telling you what to do. I just think that's awesome. And that's why I really like this meme and why I wanted to talk about it. That and it won't die. This meme will not go away. Most memes have an average lifespan of like a month or two. The Ugandan Knuckles has been around almost a year now, but it's really gained traction in the last couple months. But it just won't go away. It is funny. Let me see here as we close out the hour. And as I pull this up, I just want to give a shout-out. Stick around after my show's over. At 5 o'clock here, we're going to have Foul Territory, sports show here. It's going to be Quinn and I believe Mike. So if I got the other host's name wrong, I apologize. But I'm giving them a shout-out. Stick around. They do a good show. They're on every Thursday from 5 to 6, so they follow up after I do. So if you've enjoyed my stuff and want to get a little bit of sports or check out more of what we have here on WSIN Radio, stick around at 5 o'clock. But I'm going to see really quick if I can find you some more of the Ugandan Knuckles. I think I have another clip. I think this is Radio Clean because I'm pulling these off of YouTube. But let's take a look. Maybe.
Do you know the way? Are you the queen? You smell like Ebola. You do not know the way. Queen, where is the commander?
Okay, that's basically what the meme is. And they're lines taken from the movie and also from the video Joker. And again, he's hilarious because he's, like I said, it just sounds like a dude on a ton of speed. Not making fun of him. He's just so high energy that it's hilarious. But again, those are probably your two most prominent memes going into 2018. Unfortunately, at least with the Tide Pod one. Hopefully that dies down soon. And they've gone out of their way to try to kill this meme because YouTube has been pulling videos of people eating, smoking, doing whatever with Tide Pods. And as I did the joke earlier, I'm not joking, people did try to vape Tide Pods. So that's stupid. But, again, I'm talking about all your base are belong to us. If you've ever been Rickrolled, where it's, Rick Astley's never gonna give you up. When you click on a link, that's also a meme. That's been around forever. That one never gets old. Before I close out the hour here, I got a good one. It's probably one of my favorite meme moments. There's two. One involves Oprah, and the topic of discussion was on child trafficking. There's a meme from a bad translation of Dragon Ball Z, probably the most famous anime ever. Kind of what launched a million weeaboos into full animedom, including myself. It was the one anime you got to watch that was actually put together well in America in the 90s. But there's a line where there's the two villains, and Vegeta and Nappa are their names, and the cool thing, they're all named after vegetables. Vegeta literally means vegetable, Nappa is cabbage. Goku, the main character, his Saiyan or Zalien, his real name is Kakarot, which is carrot. So they're all named after food, which I just think is hilarious. But they have these little scouters where they can measure how strong an opponent is, which already doesn't make sense. And they kind of make that point in the show. But there's a line of dialogue where it was mistranslated, and all of a sudden the scouter breaks and the character goes, "It's over 9,000. Well, that became a meme for all of the early 2000s on the internet. There was this episode of Oprah where somebody sent in a line of dialogue about a pedophile ring saying their members are over 9,000 strong, and Oprah read it without even knowing what she was reading. That became a big meme. And then there was another one. There's a satellite station. It's more prominent in Europe, depending on your cable network, or if you have Dish or one of those, you can pick it up here. It's called God TV. Obviously, it's religious programming. There was two ministers doing their show. One of them was reading somebody's testimony because people would email in, and the other guy picked up on what it was. and was in tears laughing, so he couldn't tell the guy to stop. But somebody sent in a testimony, and it was essentially just the lyrics to Rick Astley's song, and it was, God's never going to give me up, he has never let me down, and he's always there for, like, he's going through reading the lyrics, thinking this is like a serious testimony. No idea that this dude's being memed. And the other guy next to him is in tears laughing. And to me, that was hysterical, because I'm like, he just trolled this dude live on on worldwide satellite broadcast, and he did it to a religious broadcast. So I'm like, kudos. I mean, all's fair. So it's not like they sent something horrible. It's just you rickrolled an entire religion, basically. And I am a Christian, so I'm not going to hide that fact. So I'm not offended by it. So I can't speak for everyone else, but to me it was funny. Another popular meme here was, and as I close out, was one called Double Rainbow. It was just somebody seeing a rainbow and a reflection of a rainbow and losing their mind like this was some majestic act of the Almighty. And it became popular for the only way things change is it's your own perspective and how you look at things. But again, I want to thank everybody for tuning into It's All Geek to Me. This was Alan V. Go enjoy yourself some memes. Please, by all means, take a look at Who Killed Captain Alex tonight or any of the stuff I talked about today on YouTube. I understand we're in the midst of a touchy situation here. I just ask everybody to be respectful of one another's beliefs and opinions, so walk in love and peace to one another, because ultimately that's what we need right now. And I want to thank you all for tuning in tonight. I'm going to sign off here. In a moment, we will have Foul Territory on. Take it easy, everybody. And again, you are listening to It's All Geek to Me. This is WSIN Radio 1590 or online at WSINradio.org. I'm Alan V. I'm signing out. Take it easy. Peace.